Thanks, Limson. What I'd like to do, since I have my colleague Bing Lim from the Genome Institute, is actually, we decided to split our discussion. And what I will concentrate on is what I would call tailoring structures, medicines, and adjunctives to improve performance of the common man, to extend his or her lifespan and utility. And then Dr. Lim will talk about regenerative medicine and how, in the case of damage or in terms of augmentation of function, that the addition of tissues through a variety of means may accomplish a different and more augmented end. Let me just say that in many of the things that we do today, we already have elements of both conservation of function and augmentation of function in extreme circumstances. It's very clear that G-forces in fighter pilots is a major problem. Many of you may know that when you do a banking turn, you actually can generate G-forces up to about 5 or 6 or even beyond that gravities, in which case then all your blood pools into your legs and blackouts are a problem. What is already happening is that there are assist devices of pumping the blood back from your legs and into the central part of the body to allow for a pilot to remain conscious during this severe stress. This is actually just a beginning of how we are using this kind of understanding of physiology and integrating that with engineering to assist ourselves in reducing wear and tear and increasing our function. Clearly, the Olympic stars do the same thing with the specialty shoes that they wear, many of which are engineered in such a way to reduce drag, improve bounce, and actually decrease the type of wear and tear on the cartilage. But let me go beyond that, because I think that many of you are cognizant of those issues. What you may or may not be accustomed to are actually the pharmacologic measures that are available to you now for performance enhancement and reduction of that kind of natural wear and tear that really reduces lifespan and utility. For example, it's known now that statins actually increase lifespan by virtue of reducing not only cholesterol, but for some reason, it's still not totally known, it actually reduces stroke, improves a variety of other parameters as well. And these kind of enhancements, coupled with more specific therapeutics that are targeted for the configuration of your genetic makeup, will then reduce the side effects of things like hormone replacement therapy, enhance what we call response modifiers for endocrine function in such a way that you're stronger, you're faster, you look younger for a more continuous period of time without the necessary side effects of increased cancer risk, increased stroke, or increased blood clotting maneuvers. Each one of these would be tailored for your genetic makeup. Since we already know the entire sequence of your genome, it's a matter of time for us to understand what each variant of your genome means in terms of your response to certain therapies, response to certain drugs. The addition of functions, which includes pharmacologic enhancements of attention. We already now are testing not only sleep-associated drugs that actually assist in sleep in a way that are no hangovers, but are now actually drugs that reduce jet lag. Your alertness is actually improved. So you can imagine that the physiologic problems of a commando troop on patrol would be enhanced, but that can be reflected back in terms of how you function on a day-to-day basis. Even Prozac, which is, you all know is an antidepressant, is now progressively being marketed for people not with severe depression, but conditional depression. Depression that you would have called, rational, loss of a loved one, bad grade in your A-levels, and so forth. But it's actually now being marketed also for treatment of PMS, of menstrual syndrome. Okay? Now, is that actually rational, or is that actually performance enhancement? For a woman who is debilitated for 2 weeks, for a week out of every 3 or 4, it may be a very important adjunctive for improvement performance. Now you can imagine that if you had a precise knowledge of how each one would improve your function and how each one can be actually tailored to reduce the toxicity or the side effects, that you can dial in and out performance in a manner that would be quite spectacular in many ways. Now, there comes with this a great price, and that price is, when do you use this? What is competition? Because what if you have access to it and you're more alert during your A levels and you get better grades and you get progressively better jobs because of that? Is that really fair in a world that is highly competitive these days? These are actually social issues that become hugely important. They're not issues that scientists alone can actually answer, and they are actually serious discussions that has to be on a societal level. So on this basis, I'd like to hand over the microphone to my colleague, but just to leave you with the idea that this brave new world is here already. It's a matter of the precision on how we use these drugs. It's a matter of when we use these drugs, who will coach you to use these drugs, because the Olympic stars are actually using these kind of approaches currently to improve their function. And the issue also is how do we then have a meritocracy when access to enhancers may be the deciding edge?
Well, first let me thank Lim Sun for the very kind words. Being an IT person, I still prefer to rely on PowerPoint to get my thoughts across. And if you look at the title, I've taken the liberty to add inflation. So it's really the $6 billion person, and also to make it gender neutral. But what I'm going to describe is still probably in the realms of research. It will take quite some time to realize some of these concepts that I will be talking about. The basic idea, and this is really not directly relevant to the topic as written. The basic idea I want to talk about today, quickly, is not about replacing human parts, but more on enhancing our 5 basic senses. That is sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And also to develop a 6th sense, intuition, if you like. And also to be able to project these senses beyond our immediate locality. This idea is one of the basic research themes that we at the Institute of Infocom Research are focusing on in the years ahead. In terms of enhancing our senses, we find that we can quite often draw parallels from the behavior of our animal friends. In fact, we have learned quite a lot from them. For example, insects have compound eyes. So we were actually looking at the idea of making use of this concept of having so many different visual receptors to see if we can build better cameras and so on. Another example that is familiar to many people is that bats use sonar. They utter these high-pitched noises, and from the echo, they are able to determine the surroundings in darkness. And the accuracy is quite impressive.